Well, good Sunday morning, everybody. In life, to be or not to be. In politics, to run or not to run. And for some, deciding on that question comes up time and time again.
It's an important day for all of Webb County. This morning, I formally announce my candidacy for Webb County Judge.
That was then candidate Tano Tijerina announcing his run for Webb County Judge back in 2013. That race marked the beginning of his tenure as the county's chief executive when he was sworn in at the start of 2015, becoming the 15th person to hold the office in Webb County history. Since then, voters have continued to show their support, re-electing him to the position, most recently for a third term in 2022. But could a new office be on the horizon? In a statement released just a few weeks ago, the county judge announced the formation of an exploratory committee to consider a potential run for Texas's 28th congressional district. In part, the judge says the district is 20 years behind our neighbors and has not had a forward-thinking advocate that speaks on behalf of all. The statement continued to highlight other issues he claims have been out of step with the district, including social issues and the allegations incumbent Congressman Henry Cuellar faces in his upcoming trial. The judge also ended his statement by saying he's never been afraid to step out of the crowd and break the mold of South Texas leadership. He ended his statement with saying this would be a time for serious reflection to think about his potential candidacy for the district. The judge's move to the Republican Party has also been embraced by top party officials in the state. Texas Governor Greg Abbott made his way to the Gateway City last weekend as the keynote speaker of the Webb County Republican Party's Lincoln Reagan dinner. The governor even signed a bill into law on stage, which would give compensation for border agriculture owners to signal his support for border communities. Well, we caught up with a judge who said the Republican Party is gaining a hold right here in Webb County.
He has just been a big friend of the program, and Governor Abbott, this is not his first, second, third, or fourth time. He's always a phone call away. He's always doing a great job for Webb County, and we very much appreciate it. Obviously, him coming down for the Republican Party, this is what it's all about. The numbers are just getting, just stronger and stronger. I mean, the money that the Republican Party raised today was 20 times what they've ever raised. So we're very proud of that. We're going to keep moving forward. It's just a common sense approach. Hey, it's just who we are, and it's the foundation of who we are, what I am, and this is what it's all about. So it's very nice to have a like-minded people around.
And that's where we begin this morning's discussion. Joining us today is Webb County Judge Tano Tijerina, along with KGNS General Manager Luis Villarreal. Good morning, Judge. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate having you with us.
On the contrary.
We're going to give the first question to
Well,
Luis.
it's not a question, Judge. I just want to address what I consider the elephant in the room, and no pun intended with the elephant. But so you were elected. You've been in office for a few 3 terms now, right?
Yes.
You ran under the Democrat Party's leadership ticket. While in office, you have switched parties. You've faced some criticism, obviously, from within the party, and some deserved, some undeserved. I don't know. I really think that one of our biggest problems in this country is our allegiance to parties. I think we should be a little more issue centered than party centered, but that's a different story. How do you explain to your supporters over the years why you made that switch? What drives that move?
Well, and I appreciate you asking me this. For the last 10 years, obviously, as we know, here especially in Webb County and along the border, there has been opportunities where it seems like all it is just Democrat, Democrat, Democrat. To me, I just feel like I am that same person. I haven't changed. What I do feel in the last 4 years is that the Democratic Party, especially in the national level, look, locally here, I have to say it like this. We're very fiscal conservative. We're very conservative. There's a little pockets here and there that are going to be a little bit more liberals. I get it. But almost everybody's pretty much, I would even say, middle to the right. And they still call themselves Democrat. My deal is that I've just been seeing what's been going on for too many years, and especially the last 4 years with President Biden. I mean, it was a very, very difficult time. And there's only so much. So the way I can answer that is, yeah, you're going to have some people that don't understand. You just said the Democratic Party had some criticism. Well, they had criticism even when I was a Democrat. People are going to have criticisms all the time. It's not about you see, the problem is nowadays, I think what happens is we're trying to appease and trying to please everybody. When in our reality, the guy in the mirror, the only thing that I have to do, like I told my parents, I have to be true to my God and true to myself. And so the last 4 years with all these social issues, everybody knows that I've always been conservative. I don't think it was a big secret, me jumping and flipping parties. Everybody has known the last 10 years, I've never really been that Democratic poster child like everybody wanted me to be. So when this came about, I knew that if I would ever consider running for state or national level, I knew that one of these days, because that's when you start making laws. Here you're just doing it for the people. But when you start making laws, when you start doing that kind of stuff, that's where it's going to go ahead and say, look, who are you? And so I just want to be true.
Is it strategically better to be running or considering a run under the banner of the Republican Party than, is it a strategic move as well? Is it easier to challenge Congressman Cuellar from the Republican side than it would be inside of the Democratic Party, or does that matter at all?
Very much, and I'm glad you said that. Strategically, actually, I'm in a disadvantage.
Okay.
And this is why. Because what happens is, as we know, in the history of voting and the presidency, there's only 2 times in history. One was when the Great Depression happened. Second is 9/11. So everybody understands that when you have a Republican president, the odds of your midterms are all going to go back to Democrat. Same thing, when you have a Democratic president, the odds of your midterms are going to flip to Republican. That's just our nature. That's just who we are, and that's how it's going to work. So, and in reality, I'm actually in a disadvantage right now. Some people might say, oh, it was nice because you kind of flipped. And I'm not saying they're saying that. I'm just saying it. Some people could think, oh, well, you know, President Trump won and over 113 years, the first time a Republican president ever won. How convenient of you to go ahead and flip now. Yeah, how convenient of you. But in all reality, it's actually a disadvantage because, and I'm not worried about everybody else. I have to be true to myself. And that to me is, I think, the most important part. So in all reality, that's a great question, and I'm glad you asked it because it's actually a disadvantage. I'll tell you right now, almost everybody told me, if you would have stayed in Democrat, you would have won this landslide even more. And so as a Republican, they still feel like, you know, I have a potential to win. And regardless of what I do, whether it's county judge, whether it's state rep, whether it's U.S. Congress, whatever the case may be, that is the situation that we're going through right now.
Judge, let's talk a little bit about the Exploratory Committee. Why an Exploratory Committee for folks that don't know what that means?
Another great question, and I think this is one of the most important answers that I could give you. An Exploratory Committee, look, I'm an old rancher. I'm a rancher. By trait, I'm a true rancher. Baseball player and a rancher. And both of those, you have to prepare, okay? You have to prepare and you have to cultivate the ground. You have to go ahead and use a bulldozer, you have to use a tractor, whatever the case may be. The second part is you seed it. You seed the ground. Then you water it. And then you watch it grow. No different than the Exploratory Committee as well. I'm cultivating the ground. I've been hearing this for years and years and years. You know, I've been the county judge, and I understand the positives and the negatives of what our congressman has done the last 10 years. And there will be a lot of things being exposed here before long if I do consider it to run. But I'll tell you right now, I'm considering it greatly. But the way it works, and this is the most important part of the answer, it's a resign to run. You see, if I announce right now today, I would lose my county judge seat. Texas is probably one of the only states in the United States that, and there's some other ones, but almost all of them are pretty much, you could run for whatever you want, whenever you want, and you won't lose your seat. Texas is a little different. Your district judges, anybody that works for Texas, your state legislators, your senators, your governor, your lieutenant governor, they could run for whatever they want and they won't lose their seat. But in the local levels, you have your council members, you have your school board members, you have your commissioners court.
You cannot hold an office and run for another.
That is correct. And the way the law is written is a year and 30 days prior to your last day in office.
In office, not election day. To prior.
In office.
All right, so when is that for you currently? When does your term as county judge end?
December 31st, 2026.
2026. So you could, if you were to announce officially, you would do it sometime after December 1st of this year?
Potentially, yes.
Potentially. That's when you could say, and that would not require you to leave your county.
That is correct.
Seat.
That is correct. And so that is the reason why we did an exploratory committee. I've been working on this, you know, for a good while now, and it's something that I've been really contemplating on doing. And I just think it's disheartening, and it's very disappointing, you know, as a Texas Border Coalition chair, as a Judicial Commission Conduct Commissioner in Austin. I go all around Texas right now. And the number one thing that bothers me is when I hear, oh, your congressman is in a situation. Your congressman is going to, coming up, in trial, and this and that. I'm tired. This community is so special and so beautiful. I don't think we need to have this black cloud over us. I think it's an opportunity to go ahead and expand our horizons. I think he served 20 years. I think it's time for a new, fresh blood. The same way that I asked the people 10 years ago to give me that chance, which I can't believe. Like, again, I had 5 hairs right here, and now I got a full set of white hair.
Put on a few pounds too, Chad.
And that's okay. That's okay. But I'm more in shape than I was back then, so I'll tell you that much now. But
let's
that's where
talk
it's
a little bit about some of the reasons why you stated you were going to run in a recent article by in Laredo Morning Times that came out the day after that you announced your exploratory committee. You had talked a little bit about needing somebody to be in this position as an advocate. Is it rightful to say, though, that over the past many years, we have had a lot of money being brought down to us, $1 billion in infrastructure, $116 million in education, as quoted in the paper. So how do you say that we haven't had an advocate who has fought for us?
Great question, and here's a direct answer. The problem is the last 20 years we have been deceived. The only things that we know about our congressman is the Appropriations Committee, and he's a money man. When in all reality, 95% of those monies that he claims to have gotten, as a county judge, I know this. We have an economic development, our director, James Flores. We are the ones that look for the grants, go for the grants. Now, I could talk on behalf of the city too, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to talk on behalf of the county's monies. When that happens, we go out and get them. See, and so when we come out with federal monies or state monies, we have about $30 million right now, just right now in Webb County as far as federal monies and state monies, when it comes to grants, okay? So 95, probably a little over 95%, those monies, we get them. We're the ones that appoint it. We're the ones that approve it in the Commissioner's Court. I'm the one that signs the grant. I know because I have to sign it all the time. So the other 5% that he claims to do all 100%, and that's disingenuous. You see, a lot of people think, oh, he's the one that brings all the money. No. And I've told them before, Henry, if you could give me $1 more than we're asking for, I would congratulate you and thank you. Because in all reality, we're the ones going out for that. So that's a great question, and I appreciate you asking it.
Is there this is a more of a philosophical question, Judge. As you explore the possibilities, is it about Tano Tijerina, or is it about Webb County? In other words, can you see yourself as part of this exploratory committee finding in a situation where you say, you know what, it is best that I don't do this for the county? Is that a possibility? Can that be the result, or are we just buying time so that you can announce?
Everything is possible, but I'm real to myself. That guy that I look in the mirror every single day, the same person that I am, look, the first day that I got elected as county judge, I had a lot of people in the media come up to me, and they asked me one question. What do you want to say to the people that voted for you? Mm-hmm. And I told them this, and you could look it up. I said, I want to thank them. But more importantly, the ones that didn't vote for me, those are the ones that I want to be able to win them over, show them who I am. It's no different if I run for this position or not. It's, just because I'm Republican now or Democrat, in all reality, I'm the same guy that hasn't changed anything. And so I'm going to do everything I can. Is it about Tano Tijerina? In all reality, I'm looking at my God and saying, look, I got ridiculed in 2010 because apparently, I was too Christian and I was using too many godly languages and kingdom language and all this kind of stuff. And I got criticized quite a bit for it. And today, that still holds true. I am praying about it. I think it's important that I do. I think God is my number one. My wife is number two. My family is number three. And this Webb County, this beautiful Webb County, that we have a beautiful gem in South Texas, we could explode. We're the number one and important in the United States, and look at where we're at. Speaking of infrastructure, $10 billion we're lacking right now just to come up to par. $10 billion. So forget about the $1 billion. We need $10 billion. And so that is the kind of situation. Going back to another thing, the 405 bridge. I know that he came on beyond the headlines after we got the presidential permit. I challenge anybody. In the last 10 years, how many times Congressman Cuellar has spoken about the 4-5 bridge? I challenge anybody publicly for it, not once. But he comes over here and discredits me and pulls out the little paper and basically says that I haven't anything to do with it. Well, let me answer it now, finally. The reason why we had to do South Webb Bridge is because every single time, the last 10 years that I would go to Washington, the number one thing that they would tell me is, Congressman Cuellar is totally against this project. That was the one that was giving us the most problem. You see, that's disheartening for the last 10 years. Because we don't should be talking about the 4-5 bridge. We should be all coming together as one, including our congressmen. But the problem is you see, I'm not a puppet. I'm not a puppet. There's some puppeteers out there that are managing. And this is the problem. And so he even told me, so he came, we had to use South Webb Bridge because we had to go ahead and say, hey, this is not what it's about. You know, if we keep saying that it's Webb County, he's going to go against it, so I had to go privately.
We're going to have to take a break, Judge. We're going to keep talking about the bridge itself and Webb County.
Yep, that's right. Y'all stay with us. We'll be right back after a quick break. Welcome back, everyone. Well, as county judge, dealing with county matters has been a full-time job throughout the years. So in that same statement released to announce his exploratory committee, Judge Tijerina highlighted his time on Commissioner's Court during his tenure. Among the issues mentioned, taxes, infrastructure, trade and economic development, and quality of life. And that's where we're going to continue this morning's discussion with the judge. And Judge, once again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Appreciate having you
with
Let
us.
me jump in again, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but so it'd be very easy for me to say, what are you proudest of? You know, what your biggest over the last 10 years? Let me flip it around a little bit, Judge. What have you not been able to accomplish yet that you wish, as county judge, you would have already? What are the challenges that we have faced during the tenure in accomplishing those things? Is there anything that you said, man, we have not been able to do this yet? Is there anything, or have you done everything you wanted to do?
I think if I had one other opportunity, I know this went out for a referendum. It's a jail.
The jail.
I think right now we're probably lacking a jail, and I think that's one of the major things that I would like to see happen. But we really, I know Sheriff Cuellar did everything possible, and it didn't pan out. I get it. But everything that we've done, I mean, we've really, all our priorities, I'd like to say that all my priorities, all my promises that I talked about in my campaign, my platform, we have kind of checked the boxes. And sometimes some of those maybe take a little longer than I expected it, just because we're in the public setting and we're doing it all with our own dollar. Now, I say all with our own dollar. We're not asking for any more because it's always the taxpayers' dollars.
Is that how you explain, like you just said, some of the projects that have seemed like they've taken a while?
Absolutely.
The fairgrounds have taken a while. The sheriff's new administration building has taken a while. Why?
Yeah, those two right there. Good question. Why? Well, as you know, when we broke ground for the fairgrounds, then COVID hit.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we're coming out of COVID, and then all of a sudden, what happens? Everything's going up. Your prices are going up. Remember, we didn't ask for a penny more from the constituents to do this project. We put $60 million in. We went for a $30 million bond with almost $30 to $35 more million inside. So I'm very proud to say that we've done it internally. Remember, my first 4 years, we were doing surgery. We were hurting. We had no monies. Remember, I got sued 5 times my 3rd year because we would say no to the budget. And when I say I got served, no, I just didn't get served papers. I actually had to go sit in front of a judge and defend ourselves saying no, and so we won all 5 of them. So I understand the way it looks, I get it, but it's a humongous project that we're trying to do internally without asking the people. And then the whole HEB building. That HEB building, I'll tell you right now, there was some issues with our engineers and stuff like that. They made some major mistakes, and I'm not going to tell you no. And what were the mistakes? They didn't. When they were doing some of the analysis, if you want to look at it like that, I mean, they left out the most important part, the roof. You know what I mean? The roof. Hey, so I get it. But look, right now, as far as that's concerned, the sheriff still has his building. No, nothing's going on with the sheriff. And now, if you're going to go look at it, I beg you all to go look at it. It's got a state-of-the-art, it's got everything in there. I mean, the sheriff is really proud of it, and I can't wait to open it up for him, too. It's going to be really, really nice. And so, yeah, I agree with that. But everything else, look at all the other projects that we've done. We're doing health facilities. This is my third fire station. I mean, we just bought Road and Bridge. We just bought the old Fiscal building that we're getting it ready for them to get a new Road and Bridge in there. I mean, the county has never been in this kind of position to be able to do all these projects. Right now, I'm looking at a new tax office. Somewhere where everybody could go from the middle to the end, somewhere in the middle. We're doing everything that we can, and I think we've done a pretty good job. But yes, some of those are a little tougher than others.
Let's go back, Judge, and talk a little bit about the primary that you're going to have before you. We were talking a little bit about the pool of folks that you're going to.
If I consider it.
If you consider it.
If I consider it.
Exactly. If you consider going down the road of congressional district. Tell us about that primary.
Well, again, I'm a hometown boy. I'm a Laredoan, born and raised in Webb County. I think I'm the only one with a track record. I think a great track record the last 10 years. I think we've done it. I mean, when I first came in there, it was $87 million or $14 million in the bank. Right now, we're at a $160 million budget with right now in the books, if you read it, it says 107. But we have almost about 15 to 20 million for other projects. So if you look at it, we have a substantial amount of monies that we have. And we've done that with the last 8 years, because the first 4 years we had to do attrition, we had to cut services not cut services, I'm sorry. We had to cut some people, and it was really hard our first 4 years. We had to really bring this back to the forefront. Again, the other thing that I would like to say is, when I first started, we were at 42 cents of tax rate. We're the lowest taxing entity with 42 cents. Since I've been there, we've already dropped the tax rate 4 times. This year, I'm going to propose to the Commissioner's Court, not just that we drop it 1 penny, but we drop it 2 pennies, and I'd like to bring it to 36 cents.
And homestead exemption.
Well, but unfortunately, final thoughts on that from me. Unfortunately, the prices of the property values keep going up, and sometimes there's no distinction for the taxpayer himself.
I'm glad you say that, but that's not us.
I understand that, but the average citizen.
But that's why we're trying to help and bring the tax rates down. Okay. As a fiscal conservative man, that's the reason why.
Do what you can.
That's the reason why. Look, the only actions that one can control is oneself. That's it. And so I'm doing everything I can in my power as county judge. And I will tell you this, I do not do anything unilaterally. Yo no soy uno de esos yo. You'll never hear me say that. As a matter of fact, if you notice on my Facebook and everything else, I've kind of stopped all that. First of all, because of my judicial commission ethics, there's a lot of people that get into trouble with that. So I don't go around every 5 minutes somewhere with, hey, this is what we've done, 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 this is what I would never finish.
Judge, we're going to need to bring you back and talk a lot more.
We're going to need a part 2,
running out of time. Part 2.
And we were just getting warmed up.
I know.
Man, oh man.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is great.
Welcome back, everybody. It's the one thing that we cannot stop thinking about that happened this past week. Luis?
We don't know why things happen, but everybody complains about the self-checkouts and some people love them, some people like them, but if you noticed over the last couple of weeks, Walmart has decided to shut them down.
I did not know that.
And a couple of other retailers have followed suit, and I've been thinking about this, and you would think, why? Why do you think they did this?
Too many people stealing things?
Yes.
I thought so.
Apparently the savings from not having a cashier as compared to the loss of items the theft, makes it not worth it.
Right. I mean, you've got one person who is giving eye to everybody and then when they get called because something went wrong, then they're giving their back to everyone. So I could totally see the theft. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Yes, chefed and heard. Those two words, if you know what I'm talking about, then you are a fan of The Bear. So excited that The Bear just released season 4 this past Thursday. I've already seen the first 2 episodes. They are fantastic. So I think we are in for another really good season of The Bear.
I just saw the first 2 episodes of the first season.
Of season 1.
Season 1. So
Okay.
I am just jumping into.
Yeah, you are in for
Jeff.
a roller coaster then. So looking forward to that. Well, that does it for this episode of Beyond the Headlines. We really appreciate you sticking around with us. And until the next episode, have a fantastic week. Happy 4th of July this Friday.